Hey,
Hey,
we're here. Look
Hi.
at this. We're live. We're here. Welcome to the show that Brandy's mom watches now.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. If you're here, by the way, I know you were last week. I don't know if you are this week, but
Hi, Mom. I know you're not watching, but maybe in the future you will. I don't know. Oh, well. Hey, yeah. Hey, how's everybody's Friday today?
glad it's Friday.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Brandy's just nodding her head. Yes. Yes. She's having a Friday.
Mhm.
Okay.
The weather is gorgeous. I have these nice windows right in front of me, looking outside. Kind of wish I was out there, but thrilled to be doing this as well. So best of both worlds.
Yes. Best of both worlds.
But Tish, sorry.
Be heading out on the deck to read a book after we're done this. So it's going to be good.
Yes. See, that's it. That's it. I was thinking that earlier. After I do the show, I'm going to go to bed and read a book. Well, I'll read the book and then fall asleep in bed. Anyway, I thought about going in and introducing ourselves, but I thought, why should we? We have our names on the screen. Then I realized, well, but they're not even our real names. So it doesn't, we have to introduce ourselves. So Brandi, I want you to introduce yourself and just tell us a little something about yourself that maybe we don't know, or something that happened recently that might be interesting.
Oh, no, nothing interesting ever happened. You're funny.
I was hoping for once, maybe something interesting happened.
Well, I'll say this because I know one person in the chat who's going to go nuts about this, and you'll know who you are when you hear me talk about this. My name is Brandi Jackola. Hello. And back in the early 90s, I went to a revival of the musical Hello, Dolly. And Carol Channing had returned to the role.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
Cool.
so I got to see Carol Channing doing Hello, Dolly. Not only that, they had this walkway that kind of came out into the audience, and we were literally sitting right in front of it. And when she's singing one of her songs, she came out onto that walkway, and she stopped right in front of me, and she looked down at me, and she waved.
Oh, nice.
And I was just like,
wow.
Because I love Carol Channing.
That's amazing. I also see in the comments exactly who it is you were referring to, of course.
Yep.
Yes. Wow. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you do a Carol Channing imitation?
It's been a long time since I've tried that. Let me think about it. Raspberries! It wasn't very good. If you've ever seen Thoroughly Modern Millie, you'll understand that.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, my. I just love her. I mean, she was great, especially in that. Yeah, well, hello, darling. I mean, she's just great. I love her.
Mhm.
Oh, my gosh. Dan, I want to know, introduce yourself to everyone who doesn't know you and tell us your Carol Channing story.
I'm Dan Gunther. I've never met Carol Channing.
Well, I didn't technically meet her either, but she knew I existed.
Yeah.
I've never been in the same room as her. I've never been in proximity to her. Unfortunately. But yeah, that's my story. Exciting.
Well, okay, so I don't have an exciting story. I'm Bruce Gibson. I'm also known on this show as Big Polly Gibson. And I don't have really a Carol Channing story, but a Hello Dolly reminded me of my grandmother, whose name was Dolly. So I used to sing that to her. I didn't sing the whole song, but sometimes it's, Hello Dolly, and I'd sing that to her, and I'd just say that, Grandma, it's a song about you, and she just always thought that was cute and everything. So.
I do have an Aunt Dolly. I've never thought of singing anything like that to her, but might have to do that someday.
Well,
good song.
It's good song. It really is.
Speaking of singing,
Dan, would you like to sing for us?
No.
Not yet.
This episode features a lot of singing.
Oh, okay. It does. Actually, the episode starts off with some singing about the Alamo. which I read was original song written for this episode.
Oh, interesting. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I did know that.
Oh, cool.
And I was very uncomfortable during all of the Alamo stuff because what we're taught in school is absolutely not what happened. So
It did go through my mind a bit.
I'll tell
I'm
you
just
my
like, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, because I just want to mention real quick, and I forgot to mention we are talking about Badda-Bing Badda-Bang, season 7 episode of Deep Space Nine. So anyway, what were you saying? The Alamo that you learned was not the correct history.
Oh, no. They made the Americans out to be these big heroes who were sacrificing so much. No, that wasn't how it happened. They were there illegally. Most of the people there were there illegally. Yeah, that's right. Americans there illegally. And they also wanted to keep their slaves. And Mexico had already abolished slavery. They were trying to take the land back. And that's what that fight was about. It's like, you're not coming in here and getting rid of our slaves. Anyway, I think it's kind of like, oh boy, somebody ought to have checked Wikipedia. Oh, wait, they didn't have Wikipedia back then, did they?
No, they didn't. I don't know how people knew anything back then without Wikipedia.
Yeah, they learned that, and that's the thing. The history that we've been taught in school is super flawed. Super flawed.
The funny, just coincidentally, my fiance and I rewatched all of Boy Meets World because that was like a nostalgic show for us and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a
I
sequel
love
show.
Wilfred L.
Yeah, absolutely.
Huge Wilfred L. fan. Met him. He's awesome. Go ahead.
And the sequel series, Girl Meets World, we decided, what the heck, we'll watch this. It's ridiculous. It's for kids, but we're enjoying the heck out of it. Mostly the stuff that has to relate back to Boy Meets World. But coincidentally, I watched Badda-Bing Badda-Bang today, and then the episode that we watched when my fiance got home, the teacher was teaching all about the Alamo and like chest thumping Americana stuff. And I was like, oh, wow, this is a weird coincidence.
Wow.
And anyway,
it's Alamo theme day.
It really is. It was weird.
You know,
like
when
I expected him to start singing the song that Rick Fontaine sings in this.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you my quick Alamo thing. I've been to the Alamo once. I was in San Antonio once for a convention in my industry. And as I was leaving the convention hall, I passed an IMAX theater next to my hotel room, and they were doing that special screening a few nights before the actual premiere of, cover your ears, Brandi, Star Trek Into Darkness. And I went in and I said, you wouldn't happen to still have tickets? Because it was like tickets in advance. And they're like, oh yeah, we still have a few left. And I wasn't even planning. I was like, oh my gosh. I have the poster. You can't see it, but I have a poster from that there. But that was right next to the Alamo. I mean, literally. And Littlefield, you would probably know this, the IMAX theater right there by the Alamo. Like then after, like the next day I walked, oh, here's the Alamo. It's behind the IMAX theater. I don't know if they knew that way back then. They didn't have Wikipedia, but I don't think they had IMAX either back in that battle days.
I don't think they did. I also do not think that they had a basement where somebody hid Pee Wee Herman's bike. If no one's seen Pee Wee's Big Adventure, what's wrong with you? It's the only Tim Burton movie I like. But yeah, Jan Hooks is in that, and she's the tour guide at the Alamo, and that's one of my favorite things to say. There's no basement in the Alamo.
Jan Hooks,
part of Texas. Sorry, I went to a different.
So speaking of the Alamo, what did Dan? When's the first time you saw this episode, Badda-Bing Badda-Bang?
It would have been back when it first aired in 1999. I remember being sad that Deep Space Nine was almost over, but enjoying the heck out of this episode because what high school kid doesn't love 60s Vegas crooners and stuff? I don't know. I've always loved Vic Fontaine, even watching this as a teenager. I totally loved that character and have loved this episode for a long time.
Yes. Now, Brandy, Deep Space Nine wasn't one of those shows that was on sometimes and not others and whatever. You were able to
Oh, no,
catch
no,
all
no.
those. Or
No,
was that one?
Deep Space Nine was not preempted. It was one of those syndicated ones, and on the network that it was on, it was usually on like Sundays around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But I my Deep Space Nine experience didn't really begin until about 6 or 7 years ago. And the reason that I started watching it was because I'd never gotten past season 1 and had only seen sporadic things from that point on. Like just really random things like Jadzia and Worf getting married and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait, what? Just missed a whole bunch. And so about 7 years ago, whenever it started being on Netflix, I just decided, okay, I'm going to buckle down and see if I'm going to have a different experience. I had a totally different experience because, when it first started, I was 19 and I had grown up with the original series and had been 14 when when Next Generation started. And I just didn't get Deep Space Nine. But with maturity came clarity, life experiences and stuff like that. And that made it so that I was able to understand and appreciate the amazing story that happened during those 7 years. Yeah. So I didn't see this episode until about 7 years ago.
Okay.
And I've always been a James Darren fan because I grew up on old movies, and I remember seeing him in the original Gidget movie, which then made me think of the Gidget television series, which then made me think of the theme song, and that theme song has been stuck in my head all day. But I've always loved James Darren. Always still do. He's still kicking. He is still kicking. And I've always adored him.
I had no idea we would tie Gidget to this.
Surprise! He was
Wow.
Moondoggy.
Wasn't he in TJ Hooker?
Oh, yes, he was.
William
And he
Shatner.
actually, yes, and he started directing during that time.
That's right.
And
yeah.
became quite a prolific director. So he did a lot of action stuff in the 80s as far as directing. So yeah, I watched TJ Hooker for him. Everybody else was like, no, Adrian's mad. And I'm like, James Darren, guys, come on.
So how do you think they got the idea to do a Vic Fontaine character? I mean, it is kind of a strange situation. Emergency Frank Sinatra hologram?
I actually know a little bit of the story behind this, thanks to, I think it was the Deep Space Nine companion.
Yes.
They talk a little bit about how it was actually Frank Sinatra Jr. apparently approached them and said, I would love to be on Star Trek. Apparently he's a Star Trek fan.
Oh.
Said, I really want to be on Star Trek. So they got together and they're like, oh, we got to write a character for him. And they came up with the Vic Fontaine hologram and went to Frank Sinatra Jr. And he was like, I want to be like an alien under a bunch of makeup and stuff. Like this isn't, I don't want to just play myself. And then I guess for whatever reason, scheduling or whatever, that was never able to happen. But they had this idea of this lounge singer and eventually approached James Darren about the role. And that's kind of the quick and rough version of how that came to be. So,
but he sings in a very Sinatra style, and that is purposeful.
Absolutely.
That is definitely purposeful. And he was friends with Frank Sinatra. He knew Frank Sinatra. So
was Frank wasn't around when this episode premiered though, right?
I don't think that he was.
Didn't he pass away like in the late 80s or something? I don't know.
I think so, yeah.
To Wikipedia, someone in the chat will let us know.
Maybe,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
look it up, especially if you're in the Alamo. I'd love to know if Wikipedia is working there now.
But yeah, it was Sinatra Jr. that approached
Sinatra Jr. Yeah. So, the music is good because, the vocals, but we have all that background music going on too. And I love how we hear the Deep Space Nine theme.
Yeah, the da 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 da. Like, oh, that's
so
great.
It's
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that soundtrack available to listen to?
Ooh. I don't know if it's ever been released.
You would think it would,
I know there was like that 30th anniversary one that had a bunch of episode scores. I don't think this one is in it though. I'd had like the Bride of Chaotica was on there and a couple other episodes, but yeah, I don't know that this one's ever been commercially released.
I know that the songs were actually released on an album that James Darren did that was inspired by his time as Vic Fontaine.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I know that that version of The Best Is Yet to Come, and I believe the song about the Alamo is also on there. I don't quote me on that though. But yeah.
I want
it's only a
full
Paper
Alamo song.
Moon, and I've got The World on a String. A bunch of those are on there. Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just going to like jump around this episode and stuff. I'm just curious. What, Brandi, what part of this episode would you say is your favorite part of this episode?
Gosh.
That is
hard. Well, that's hard for me. I think actually one of my favorite moments, and this is actually kind of a quiet moment, but one of my favorite moments is when Cisco finally decides he's going to help. And you know, they've talked about the plan and they're going to go through it again. It's like, we don't need to go through it again. But before that, you know, they're talking about how the Jack in the Box thing is that you got to get rid of Frankie Eyes, and you can't delete him. You can't mess with the program or it will erase Vic's memories. And we don't want that. So Cisco's just kind of standing there with his back against the wall and just quietly listening. He finally speaks up. So basically what we got to do is make sure there's no money. And they're all just like, why didn't we think of that? Sort of look on their face like, oh, yeah. So I'm just like, yeah, so that's just because I think Cisco was still feeling a little bit uncomfortable being there, but then he's finally just like, nah, let's do this. And he just throws himself into it, and the joy in my heart explodes.
Well, because I like that because, you know, as we see him earlier in the episode, he's just like, yeah, oh, what? My whole senior staff is going to this hollow suite and like, this is ridiculous. And he doesn't like Vic Fontaine and and then he accepts it and he comes in there and he's just having a ball. He's just loving it. He's getting all into it. He's in his tuxedo and he's like, yeah.
Well, and of course that walk past Quark's bar on their way to the hollow suite is classic. You know, so very original Ocean's 11 sort of thing, just heist movie. And, you know, and of course, Cisco's got to, you know, like tug at those cuffs of his tuxedo shirt. And I'm like, yes. Yes. I am so on board with all of this.
And I love that scene before that where Cassidy's convincing him that it's okay because he's like, you know, I don't want to go to some place that was in our history that didn't allow Black individuals to partake and, you know, go into the casino and gamble and do all these things, you know, and it's a lie, you know, that you would be accepted in there. And she's like, but I like to go in there and pretend what could have been, what should have been. And that starts to turn him around, like, you know, not ignoring our history and stuff.
Yeah. And I really like that discussion happens. And I remember when this episode first came out, a lot of people were saying like, oh, Cisco would never like that. It's just never been acknowledged in Star Trek. Like you wouldn't even talk about that because it's a more evolved world and blah, blah, blah. And like, as much as I love to immerse myself in the world of Star Trek and pretend that like that's the world we live in and that's where this is all existing. Yes, it's a show set in the 24th century, but it's a show written for and viewed by people in the 20th century. And I'm so glad that they felt confident enough to broach that point and make it a plot point in this episode and make it something that Cisco had to work through and had to, you know, and also made other people around him kind of aware of, you know. I thought that was a really great step and I really appreciated that. And yeah, I'm just really glad that they went that route when it could have been. I think the easy way out would have been to say, "Oh, it's the 24th century. Nobody thinks about that stuff. Cool, moving on." You know.
Yeah, no, that's so good that that's not what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice to see that in the future they still remember what had happened in the past. You know, that's just not forgotten, swept under the rug, and it's all forgiven and everything's okay.
Well, Cisco had been to the past and had lived the Bell riots, so yeah.
That's true
That's
too.
a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah.
So it was really something even more personal to him in that regard. So I can see where he was coming from. And when I first saw this episode, I'm like, what is his problem? And I thought, and then when he revealed why he didn't want to go there, I'm like, I am such a bad white person. I'm a terrible white person because I didn't even think about that. It didn't even cross my mind until he said that. And I was ashamed of myself. I really was.
That's part of the reason I love the way it's revealed the way it is too. Like he just kind of is stewing about this and it's not immediately revealed. I do have to say, I love at the very, like near the beginning when he's like, when were you planning on getting back to work? I'm like, yeah, come on, guys. What are you doing? So I was kind of on his side just for a moment there. And then I was like I was like, what's his issue? Like he's being grumpy. This isn't, and then it smacks you upside the head and you go, oh, wow. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I like the fact that we are bad white people and didn't think of that because it makes that scene so much better. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, duh. But I think we're also putting ourselves so far into that future where we don't have those issues in that time. So you're not really consciously thinking about what we're facing today. And so when it's brought up, it's really shocking, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did think, like Chris Littlefield saying here, I was thinking, especially what's been going on recently, like this really, that scene alone is a good scene to watch with everything that's been happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, well, let's have a little more fun here because you said you also like the whole Jack in the Box thing of this that Felix does, who's a friend of Julian's who set up this program for the whole Jack in the Box, that you can only help Vic if you use 1960 era type situations to save Vic from this situation from Frankie Eyes. Eyes. Yeah, I love that name, Frankie Eyes.
I can't remember his actual real name because, everybody just calls me Frankie Eyes.
I was going to write it down and then I didn't. I'm going to see if I can find it.
Yeah, because he says that. I think he says that to Kira when he first meets her.
He does,
and he says, "But everyone just calls me Frankie Eyes."
Why is that? Because I don't miss a trick. That whole scene dialogue, he's smooth.
So smooth. And Kira's just a joy to watch, except when he catches her looking at her watch and she kind of falls out of character for a second. I'm like, don't blow it for everybody, Kira. What are you doing?
Can I say one of my favorite Kira bits in this is when she and Odo first walk in and he's just like eyes like this big at the women on stage. And she's like, let me guess, you stay here and check things out while I go.
I know, because he's just...
what?
He's never seen anything like that. He has never seen anything like that. And he was just kind of like...
Yeah.
Wasn't there an episode we've seen Kira dance like that in a Hollis suite or something?
The first Vic Fontaine episode. It was the hologram version of Kira. Lola Cristal. Yeah.
Wow. maybe Odo saw that program and that's what this reminded him of. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Kira would have had that deleted.
Probably.
Yeah.
But I do like Odo in this too, because, he goes up to those gang of guys just talking, and that's when they're talking about little Polly and, oh, he's supposed to, take out big Polly. Oh, there's too many of those guys and all this stuff. And then we see him at the bar like, hey, look at what Odo can do, this little trick. Well, we call him Stretch. Look at Stretch. And he's just his hand, he grabs the drink and brings it right back.
Where'd you say you were from? Bejor. It's in Jersey, right?
Yeah, it's
Right.
in Jersey.
Yeah.
Everybody has like a little moment in this, which is great. You know,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say it's unfortunate we don't really get much moments with Worf.
Yeah. I'm kind of I'm almost glad they didn't try to shoehorn him in, because it is totally against his nature and how he views things. I'm glad they had that line at the beginning. He's like, he's just a hologram, therefore he is not real. And then he like goes down the turbo lift and we never see him again.
Mhm.
He's just gone.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm taking this episode off, guys. This is ridiculous.
Yes. Oh, and I'm going to answer a question that is in the chat.
Ooh.
Yes, that's the same Felix who is responsible for the James Bond program that Julian loved. So,
Mhm.
yes, that Felix, which is also a James Bond reference in and of itself.
Yep,
We talked
that's
about
right.
that when we covered that episode. Our man Bashir.
Oh,
I like this is kind of like the future of gaming, you know, like this is I kind of like that, like, we were just hanging out here, but Felix is designing these to be like an adventure, a story. And he's like, oh, it's going to get boring. I got to throw something in there so the gamers are all excited. And they're just like, no, we didn't want this. But yeah, it's the future of video games, basically. I kind of love it.
Yeah. So Michael Dorn was giving birth. Is that why he was grumpy?
They hit his baby bump really well.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And in a shocking twist, Keiko actually delivered. So that was kind of cool.
She was getting him back. She's getting him back from when Molly was born. You may now deliver your child. Oh, really? Yeah, that was just
excuse me.
You may now give birth. Like she can just do it on command.
Keiko helped Felix write the program so that Chief O'Brien would get strip searched in it.
Oh man. So that's another thing. Even when it's just like a silly holosuite adventure. Sorry. I swallowed a little weird. Go on.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, while you're doing that, yeah, because I even like at the very end when the cast is all there and Frankie Eyes and crew are being escorted out, and O'Brien's not there. Then he shows up, and I think it was Julian or somebody asked, you know, where have you been?
I don't want to talk about it.
I have one question though, because they never really talk about the exact kind of safe that was, but when Nog can't crack it and it's taking a lot longer, Dave and I just looked at each other and was like, why doesn't Odo just seep on in there?
Huh.
Maybe
just unlock it from the inside
or something.
I was gonna say maybe that doesn't fall under the parameters of it has to be a 1960s solution, but
that is true.
But he was also the tray and the cake, so it's
yeah,
rules a little bit there too already.
Yeah, but maybe it was like one of those airtight, watertight safes. That's the only headcanon I could come up with for that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it had an auto relock tumbler. That's why Nog couldn't open it, because he didn't practice with that. He didn't know that's what it would be. But
I love that it takes him like twice the amount of time that it was supposed to, and yet when he opens it, he's like, piece of cake. And Odo's like,
Of course.
I always love it when Nog gets excited about something he's done, you know?
Yeah.
What I was going to say about O'Brien earlier is like, he has to suffer in so many episodes of Deep Space Nine. And even when it's just like a silly holosuite adventure, still the writers got to make him suffer somehow.
Yeah. Dave and I were very aware of that when we were watching this. And we were just like, oh, poor Miles. Can't someone just cut him a break for once?
No.
Gosh.
Poor Smiley. Okay, so I do have one little thing here. Maybe you guys can make me understand why this is important, but I just feel like it was a way to get Julian in the scene. But the whole thing where he's got to put the little droplets in the martini, I'm
The
like,
Ipecac, yeah.
yeah, why couldn't Ezri have just done that? Why did we need Julian? Why did she have to bring the drinks to Julian to put the little drops when she could have just done it herself?
Where was she gonna hide a vial of drops in that outfit?
That's what I
Yeah.
wondered. That's what I thought too. Maybe that was it. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it was the whole being, unnoticeable, just being subtle. I feel like if she'd have got the drinks out of the kitchen and then fumbled, someone could see that, right? So
yeah, she was constantly under surveillance, really, because in an outfit like that, yeah, people are watching her when she's walking by. So
yeah. Yep, Julian needs a task.
Maybe it was this. Maybe he was just like, hey, I'm the one that's going to get the Ipecac. I'm the one who gets to put it in the drink. I want to be a part of this.
He is the doctor, so
yep,
that would make sense.
And he and O'Brien were the ones who were there when this whole Jack in the Box triggered. So it's only fair that he gets to be part of the solution, which also makes me laugh, the whole Jack in the Box thing, because there was a Jack in the Box in the Jack in the Box when Zemo shows up early.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, that one was from Dave. He's like, wait, there's a Jack in the Box in the Jack in the Box.
There's a few,
different counter. Suddenly Gowron's there.
Yeah, suddenly Gowron. The safe. I'm sure they knew what kind of safe was in there, and the holosuite changed it to make it more difficult. I'm sure they also suddenly sent another casino player to run into Ezri to knock over the drinks. Like, I love all these little stumbling blocks they come across.
Yes.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, that I like that. That makes it so much even better. I love that. Where the program just says, okay, I'm just going to not make this so easy for you. Going to make these little changes, these little things you got to get over. So yes, Robert O'Reilly was the counter guy. That was not Howard. When she walks, you're not Howard.
I think I know that he was billed differently. I think he was billed as Bobby Riley.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So people wouldn't immediately go, hey, wait, Gowron's in this episode. And actually, J.G. Hertzler, I think a couple of episodes previous, did the same thing where he was there, but not as Martok. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
not in makeup.
He was the changeling Loss in the previous episode.
Yes, he was.
Different makeup,
different makeup, and he was billed under his middle name, which I cannot remember what the G stands for,
Garmin.
and his last name. Garmin
Hertzler.
Garmin Hertzler.
I thought it was Gunther.
I know it was Garmin because I looked this up at one point and then I forgot again. Thank you, Dan, for your encyclopedic knowledge.
I would never, ever have known that. And if I did, I wouldn't have remembered it.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I wish I could devote my brain to more useful information, to be honest. But it's there. It's not going anywhere, apparently.
So Zemo was in some other episode.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was can't remember his name, but yeah, the older member of the clan that she was trying to wipe out in the Vengeance Factor.
Where's my money? I love it.
He was perfect for that role.
He was good. I love
it's like,
Frankie, what? No money. Right.
And I love just Cisco throwing money. You know,
he's like he's got to have a distraction because the guard is not paying attention to Cassidy anymore. And so, yeah, he's got to create a distraction. And the look on his face while he's doing it, like, I'll get you guys yet. It's like, I'll show you all. You think you can change all this on me? Huh? Well, you see, the thing is that the computer would know what their plan was because they planned it with Vic.
That's true. Yeah.
I was kind of more aware of that this time around watching this episode, seeing all the people that the computer has populated the holosuite with, like the other people in the casino and stuff. And I was starting to watch them a little bit because I've actually watched this episode a couple times in the last year. I don't know why, it's just come up a few times. And like I was paying attention to where they were looking and what they were seeing, and I hadn't noticed, but when Nog and Odo make it out of the count room at the end carrying the bag and like sneaking out when Cassidy's crying to distract the guard one last time, there's one casino person sitting at one of the poker tables or something that like watches them and like leans over to someone next to him and says, "Do you see that? Oh, what?" And I'm like, "Hey, somebody saw them." I was just like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. Nice little details."
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, and that security guard, I don't remember the actor's name, but I can tell you that he played one of the Dukes on Dukes of Hazzard. When the original Dukes left over a contract dispute, he was one of the cousin Dukes that came in for like a half season until the regular Dukes came back.
Another problematic show.
I knew that was going to happen. Yes, those original actors, though, not the guy who played the security guard in this episode. I've noticed they were posting YouTube videos talking about the General Lee car and stuff. So I don't know. I haven't really watched them, but I just noticed that they were doing.
He was good in this episode. He was the perfect Mark. Like,
yes,
everything she says, like, so flattering, and he's like straightens up just a little bit more. And, like, he played that perfectly. That must have been a fun role.
Yes.
Yeah, and then when she just abruptly leaves, and he's like still got his hand up, how he was comforting her, and he's just like,
"What?"
I felt bad for him.
Man,
that's great.
Cheech, I like this guy. You know, I feel like I could hang out with him because he likes cheesesteaks, he likes pizza. Like, this is a guy that I would spend time with. Sure. I don't know why, but
I feel like I wouldn't have a good time with him.
we actually talked about this before we were on the air. Cheech, he had every right to be upset about that cheesesteak. That was not the right bread. It was absolutely not the right bread. So, you know.
So, Brandi, what you're saying is his reaction was entirely 100% warranted, and that's what you would have done in that situation.
You're damn right.
I love it.
I wonder if anybody in the chat's from Philadelphia, so we can talk cheesesteaks and about the bread, because the bread is important. And then, you know, which is best, Pat's or Geno's? You know, there's always that kind of controversy going on in Philly too. So, what haven't we cut? You know, Cassidy, I really liked how she was playing it up with the guard, and he stole my $200. Get him! And she just kept having to keep going and going and going, and just keep playing it up. And the guard's just like, "Well, you know, but I want you to do it. I want you to help me." Like, you know, very flirtatious. You know, as Cisco's throwing money around.
Turns out Cassidy's great at improv. I mean,
she
just kept that going. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, she was a smuggler, you guys.
Yeah.
That's true. She smuggled for the Maquis for a while.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure she got pretty good at improv during that time.
I think you're right.
I have, you know, I have nothing against Cassidy. I love Cassidy. Don't get me wrong. So
yeah, she's great in this episode.
Oh, she's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
I remember actually, just Penny Johnson. I do remember her from 24 was her other major role that I remember her from, other than the Orville now, I guess. But she was the wife of the president in 24, and she was so horrible. She was so mean and just awful. And it's funny because I do not see that character Sherry Palmer when I see Cassidy Yates, and I do not see Cassidy Yates when I see Sherry Palmer. Like, it's crazy how she's not under any weird alien makeup or anything like that. She's just a human, but two totally different characters. And I just have always really admired her ability to inhabit those roles.
She was actually on a few seasons of Castle as well.
Oh, cool.
And when I saw her, I'm like, I know this chick from somewhere. And then, see, Patrick and I, great minds think alike. Yeah. And so when she showed up, I'm like, I know her from somewhere. And so I had to run to the internet. I'm like, oh, Cassidy.
Cassidy.
Nice.
Yeah, I was just watching Orville the other day, and I was like, "Oh, there she is." You know. I don't. I feel like we've covered almost everything. I took some notes, and the only thing was like Vic being all like beat up. We didn't talk about that, but that's pretty much it.
We need to talk about the musical number at the end, I think.
Well, I was
Oh,
saving
yeah.
that for the end.
Okay,
So let's
all right,
make this let's make that the end right now. So Dan, what did you think about that number?
Oh man, this is I've always kind of wanted to make a video about like the musical moments of Star Trek and not the background music, but when the characters get into song for whatever reason. This is my absolute favorite. It's just so unexpected. And I remember when I first watched this, I thought it was just the best thing in the world. And I was grinning the entire time. And every time I watch it, I'm so impressed by them just like, oh, let's just do this. And of course, the best is yet to come. They're saying that's a meta thing about the series, right? They're about to go into the Dominion arc that's going to close out the series and all that stuff.
The final 9 episodes.
Yeah. And
it's kind of bittersweet.
Absolutely. And Chris Littlefield mentions Cisco's growl, which, yeah, that part of the song everybody points to as like the coolest part of the song. And it is amazing. But before that, and it's so understated, just the way he starts, when he sings a particular line, and it's so soft and so just beautiful, so smooth. It's my absolute favorite. I don't know how this is going to go because I just, swallowed weird with my throat. So it's a little weird. I'm going to subject you guys to my singing, which is horrible. But my absolute favorite bit is just right near the start when he says, "You came along and everything started to hum." And I'm just like, oh, I love that. Oh, I don't know why. That line just gets me. I love it.
I am the same. I'm right there with you, Dan. Absolutely agree.
I'm kind of like,
oh yeah. And Dave and I were comparing and contrasting the style of the crooner with the style of a more Broadway voice. Just,
mm-hmm.
People like it. People like your singing, Dan. I got treated to this earlier today, and so I've been waiting for this to do it live.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know how often that's going to happen because I'm not a great singer, but
that's really
never
good.
stopped me
or me.
Yeah, it's never stopped me really.
I think everyone sits through the Enterprise theme more than once.
You're a great singer, though. Actually, Brandi,
yeah.
let's back that up. Wait a minute, you're a great singer.
Yeah, do something for your mom. She's watching right now.
Oh no! Don't put me on the spot, you jerks.
Yeah, do Carol Channing or something.
No.
I want to hear Cisco sing "Hello, Dolly." No,
oh, he could do a Louis Armstrong, man. He could do a Louis Armstrong because Louis Armstrong did it in the movie, and it was just like, yes, that's my favorite. Yes,
I do love when he does that growly part of the song, and like they go to the reaction shots, and like half the crew is like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Well, they've been trying to find a reason for Avery Brooks to sing, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity. And I'm one of those people, I can't do the growl. Never been able to do the growl. A lot of people can do the growl. Not this chick.
No.
Yeah. Well, because your voice is too beautiful.
It's not that at all. Oh, thank you, Chris.
Part of me has always wondered like when they got together to like do this, because like the way they did it, it's like, we planned this thing, Captain, come on up here. We're going to do the thing that we planned to do. So I'm like, they're planning all the heist stuff. Now my brain is just like, oh, it's canon. They're planning all the heist stuff. Everybody leaves and Cisco pops back in and says, can we do this thing? And they're like late night practice sessions. I love it. It's great.
I'll bet you. Well, they had like what, a week?
Yeah.
To do all of this. There were definitely practice sessions. Absolutely. Just Cisco sneaking off after a shift.
Yeah. I could see him doing it to like, oh, I kind of messed things up with Cassidy. She's not impressed with how I've been acting. I'm going to make it up to her. I love
And
it.
he
Yeah.
did. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She was
Mhm.
impressed. She's like,
Mhm.
ooh, that's my man singing right now.
Oh,
Look at
yeah.
that. Yeah. You know, I can't remember. Sometimes, you know, before we go live, the three of us are talking briefly before we go. And sometimes we have conversations and I'm like, wait, was that before the show or during the show? And I remember, and I think this was before the show, but one of you said about Garrick is missing.
Yeah.
How great
Where's-
would it be to have Garrick in this?
Where's Garrick, you guys? I've got my Garrick pin on in solidarity of why the heck isn't Garrick part of this, especially with Worf not wanting to be part of it. Garrick
Yeah.
would be the perfect person to help pull off a heist.
Yeah.
I always wondered, like, does he know much about Vic? Does he hang out in Vic's at all? We've never seen
Who
him in a
cares?
Hubbard.
Who cares? He doesn't need to know anything about Vic. That he just needs to know there's a heist.
You know what would have been great is when they're doing the heist and Esri walks in with the martini and says, "You're not Howard," and it's Garrick that looks up and he's like, "No, I'm not."
Okay, that would have been great. Now they're screwed.
You
Yeah.
didn't invite me, so I decided to come anyway.
Exactly. Oh, that would have been great.
That would have been
That's in the
amazing.
deleted scenes headcanon now. Just gonna put that in there.
Oh man.
Yeah. But we got a brief quark in here, barely
Mhm.
any, just when they walk by
Yeah.
him. And no Jake.
Yeah,
No Jake.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
I do love that we get a bit of just a hat tip to the personal relationship that Nog has with Vic Fontaine and his kind
Yeah.
of like, you know, reason for caring so much is obviously earlier this season we had the incredible episode In the Pale Moonlight where Nog has lost his leg in 2 episodes previous and decides to do his rehabilitation on the holosuite and lives with Vic for that time and incredible episode, one of the most moving hours of Star Trek ever. And I just love that it's on Deep Space Nine, so it carries through, like those character beats continue through and we get, you know, an acknowledgement of that, which was really nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Instead of the reset button.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. I don't like the reset button.
Not my favorite.
No.
No. Mm-mm. Anything else that we haven't covered? Or should we give our final thoughts on this episode? Dan, go ahead. You're thinking of your final thoughts right now.
Yeah, this is I've always loved this episode. I love how low stakes it is. Like, you know, it's not like a TNG holodeck malfunction episode because they have a very clear way out. They can just reset the program. But it's not that, you know, their lives are in danger, it's that the life of their friend, this hologram, is in danger. And it's, you know, the ship, the station isn't going to explode. There's no other stakes other than that. And they all decide, you know what? Yes, this is worth it. Let's do it. And on that level, it's just a really fun episode. And, you know, recently I've been listening to arguments about what is Star Trek and what isn't Star Trek. Can you just put Star Trek on something and call it Star Trek if it doesn't involve, you know, X, Y, and Z? And I think this episode is a perfect one to point to and say, this is classic Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
They're not flying through space, battling the Dominion. They're not dealing with some sort of strange anomaly or alien incursion or whatever. It's a story about people and caring about other people. And they made a heist movie out of it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so great. It's so much fun. So yeah, I guess 5 out of 5. I can't say any. 5 out of 5 spilled martini glasses that threaten to derail the plan, but don't.
All right, Brandi, your thoughts.
How can you not love this episode? This episode has everything, even a problematic reference to the Alamo. I mean, really, guys, it really has everything, and it's interesting that you didn't have to have Quark there for comic relief. There didn't need to be that, and being a fan of old heist movies, especially the original Ocean's 11, and stuff like that, The Italian Job, things like that. I grew up watching those, and so this just really fit in with that. They really just again, the music so perfect, and it was just when it comes right down to it, they were there to help a friend, and it didn't matter that friend was a hologram, because he's more than just a hologram at this point. He's aware that Deep Space Nine exists. He's aware that there's a world outside of this little program that he runs, and he's aware that he's a program. And that's something different. I mean, they kind of touched on this in TNG with Moriarty, but that was an accident. Whereas this was just a sort of natural progression for this character. And, again, always been a James Darren fan, so I was always happy when Vic Fontaine was around. Always, always, always. And I definitely enjoy every second of this, and it gets 5 out of 5 Bobby Rileys for me.
That's about the best rating I've ever heard.
Yeah, I do. I love how Ezra gets around that, where he's like not going to drink the drink, and then she's like, "Well, can I have it?" It's just perfect thing to do. Perfect thing to do.
I never watched Ezri's face during that scene before as he's drinking the martini. She's just standing there like this.
Well, when she's bringing it in, she's like she's really nervous when she's bringing it in. She's like, "Don't spill it! Don't spill it! Don't spill it! Yeah. This is the real thing. Don't spill it!"
Like,
yep,
it's so great.
Yeah, sorry, Bruce. I didn't mean to interrupt you. My apologies.
No, you're good. No, I mean, I really don't have anything more to say than you guys. I think what I really like about this episode is it really plays with the characters that we love. And when you're going out in your last season and it's really about to get very dramatic, this is that nice breather, and this is that nice opportunity to just feel comfortable with the characters and see them play with each other and have a good time. And the episode so holds up well. And it's like that final send off before we get to this whole dramatic thing. So yeah, I enjoy the episode a lot. I don't know if I would give it 5 out of 5, but it's very close. It's more like a 4.75 out of 5, only because it's not the kind of episode that if I'm really wanting to watch something Star Trek, and I think of my favorite Star Trek episodes I want to watch, this probably wouldn't be on the list. But if I'm looking for something light in Star Trek, I would go to this. It'd be definitely on that list. So yeah, 4.75. Yeah, 4.75 out of 5. Pollies or Pallies. Yeah,
Pallies.
One of the
Pally's a great pally.
One of the Pallies is missing an arm. That's why it's 4.75.
See, to me, and this is my bias showing as well, when it comes to Deep Space Nine episodes, it's really hard for the ratings wise. Like out of Star Trek, I think 5 out of 5 is where my rating stands. Out of Deep Space Nine, this would maybe be a little lower, if that makes sense, just because to me, Deep Space Nine has so many great episodes. I don't know, even if I made a top 10 episodes of Deep Space Nine, I don't know that this would be in it, but it's so good because so much of Deep Space Nine is so good. And again, that's my bias showing, but I love Deep Space Nine so much. These characters are everything. They're great.
And I do like it was something having to do with the holosuite or holodeck that wasn't an actual malfunction.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
It worked the way it was supposed to, which is great. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have to have the stakes so high, it doesn't have to be, they're going to die because of the malfunction or something, it's like, just allow the characters be themselves and give them something to solve together. That's all we need.
Well, the life of Vic Fontaine was on the line, the Vic Fontaine that they knew and loved. So
Yeah.
You know, that was important enough for them to figure out that solution.
It's funny, we've covered, I think there's only like 2 Hollow Suite based episodes in Deep Space Nine, with the exception of Take Me Out to the Hollow Suite. And we covered both of them, really. Like, that's funny.
It is. Coincidence.
Now we have to is just make a list of all the episodes where you see someone going into or coming out of the Hollow Suite and what they're wearing. Like the time when Jadzia and Kira are coming out, they're in these ridiculous princess outfits with the tall hats,
Yes.
with the scarves coming out of it. I was like, how did you get Kira to do that?
I know. I've often wondered that too. It's like, I can't imagine Kira doing that.
I love that that's like a subplot of the episode, of like Jadzia trying to get Kira to loosen up, and she's like, I just can't. Worf, nice hat. What? Oh God.
Ridiculous hats.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so we got to pick what we're going to do next week and have a poll out there to do it. So, Brandi, how do you want people to pick something or do something or whatever to see if we have a winner for an episode?
I'm gonna do what I did last week, but with a different pin. So I have a fan sets pin in my hand. This hand right here. It is Star Trek, and it is a female character. Remember that Star Trek can encompass movies and television. So first person to correctly guess which female character pin is in my hand gets to choose an episode or movie. And go.
Oh, I think I know.
You think you know.
I think I know. I enjoyed last week because I was in the chat at the end and I could guess. I can't guess now.
I know. I'm sorry about that. It's not Savick. It's the only one I've seen so far. Come on. Like a bunch are going to come on the screen just at once. I just know it.
Yeah. It's funny how I don't know, just for people watching, I think the comments show up a little later on where we see it on StreamYard than they do on the YouTube channel. So,
it's not Tilly. I do have a Tilly. It's not Cornwell. I do have a Cornwell. It's still not Savick, Christopher. What are you doing? It's not Giorgio. It's not Kira. It's not Valeris. Although I'd love to have a Valeris. I don't know if there is a Valeris. I'll have to check on that.
Oh, I don't think there is. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. Paul Needs got it. It is Ilea.
Oh.
Ilea.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
I thought it was Jayla.
I do have a Jayla.
That's why I was doing this.
Yeah, technically, this is actually the Ilea probe. So
yeah,
but
still,
it is Ilea. So
nice.
Well done, Paul. You get to choose the episode or movie,
film.
Yes. Or animated episode.
No, absolutely.
Don't forget those. Dan, what do you have up your sleeve?
Okay, I have in my hand a signed photograph of a Star Trek actor. And the first person to guess who that is, and I will narrow it down, this person is a captain. So
Paul, is family your choice for an episode?
I think it is. Yeah.
I'm double checking. I'm pretty sure that is correct, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see one guess so far. Chris Littlefield says Patrick Stewart. It is not. Cisco, no, and you can say either the actor or the character. That's fine. Cisco, no. Kelsey Grammer, nope. Scott Bakula, nope. I'm curious how quickly this will.
Because there are more Starship captains than leads of the show. So,
So last comment I see so far. Oops. Okay, here we go. Andrew Robinson, nope. Jonathan Archer, nope. Kirk, nope.
Seth MacFarlane. Oh wait, wrong.
They were a captain on Star Trek.
Yes.
And by Star Trek, I mean any of the series films, whatever.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And this is a Federation starship.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Jason Isaacs, TJ Zamboni Schwartz,
Yeah.
Gabriel Lorca.
I have one of those. It's behind Spock's head.
So nice job with the Jason Isaacs guess. TJ, you get the next pick. So we have family from TNG from Paul. And TJ, whatever your choice is. Oh, EMH would have been a good guess because he was the emergency command hologram. That technicality, that would have been a good one. That's cool.
Okay.
Captain Proton, that would have been funny. Oh, I could have been very creative with this. You guys are great. I love the way you think. Oh, okay. So where no one has gone before. Interesting. Okay. From TNG. Perfect.
Yes. Okay. I have a picture of a Star Trek character on my phone right now because this character just called me. No.
I love that you said the character called you too.
I did. Yeah. The character called me. Yes. From the future. This is so guess the character. And right now, the only thing I'm going to say is this is a secondary character, meaning like a semi-regular. Their name, the actor's name isn't in the opening credits, but this character is in quite a few episodes of one of the Star Trek series. So it's not in the movies. This character has not been in a movie. That's another hint. There you go. There we go. So which character? Secondary character.
I have a guess.
Is it a picture of the person in character or is the person okay?
Curious. This is it's the character. Guess the character. It's not Garrick and it's not Nurse Chapel.
I'll be honest now. Every time I see Morn on Deep Space Nine, I shout Morn.
And we did see Morn in this episode. You know what?
I did shout out Morn. I did.
Paul, you won again.
Oh my goodness.
Rom.
Wow.
Nice. Very nice.
There you go.
This is the first double win by somebody.
I don't even know if we allow it, but I guess
the first double win in the same show.
Yeah.
We should say.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Is this allowed? Is this rules committee?
I say it's allowed.
All right.
It's random, so
yeah.
I'm on board. Brothers. Ooh, interesting. 3 TNG episodes, 2 of them back-to-back episodes.
Interesting.
So when we do our random number thing, will TNG come up again and we'll have 4 TNG?
That would be funny. The chances against it are pretty high, but you never know.
It's got a 1 in 9 chance.
That's fair, actually. That's pretty good.
The answer was Rom. Like, yeah, I know Nurse Chapel. That it did not look like Nurse Chapel in the picture, right? Okay, random number. Who wants to do that?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Everybody likes hearing my British boy talk. Okay. Yes. All right. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 9.
A random number between 1 and 9 is 5.
Oh, it's not TNG. That would be Voyager, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. 7 seasons. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 7.
A random number between 1 and 7 is 2.
Oh, dang.
Ooh. Okay.
I wanted Fury to be the episode.
I'm sensing a Hazon episode in our future. Wait, 2 has 26 episodes.
Okay. Hey Siri, give me a random number between 1 and 26.
A random number between 1 and 26 is 12.
12.
So we have the episode Resistance, which is okay. So Janeway's on the planet that's controlled by this group called the Mokra Order, and she's stuck with this guy named Calum who thinks she's his daughter. It's actually a really, I think, kind of a hidden gem in Voyager season 2.
Nice.
So Joel Grey, I think, plays Calum, if I remember correctly.
Joel Grey?
I think so. Well, I better make sure. I don't know if that's right. It's a name.
Of course, it's a name.
Yeah, Joel Grey. Joel Grey is the
Wow.
guy that plays Calum. It was kind of like one of those like, oh wow, he's in Voyager kind of things.
Cool.
So, yeah,
Very cool.
interesting. I
All
haven't
right.
seen it in years. I'm kind of I think it's a long shot for this poll, maybe, but I'm kind of almost hoping it wins. That's interesting.
I guess we'll see.
All right.
So, what are the episodes? Run down those episodes again for us.
Okay, so we have Family from the Next Generation. That's the episode in season 4 immediately after the Best of Both Worlds, where Picard returns home to Labar and confronts his brother about childhood stuff, basically. Where No One Has Gone Before from TNG's first season. The first appearance of the Traveler when the Enterprise carooms out of the galaxy at above warp 10 before they decided you can't do that. And then Brothers, also from TNG season 4. This is where Dr. Noonien Soong activates the homing device in Data, and he takes the Enterprise to the planet where Soong is, and Lore shows up, and all of those shenanigans occur. And then Resistance, like I said, was Joel Grey appears as Calum, and in Voyager season 2, and Janeway is stuck on the planet, and he thinks that she's his daughter, and she has to get back to Voyager somehow.
Nice.
There we go.
All right, there we go. We're gonna put out the poll on the Twitter.
The poor Vulcan whose name is to Twitter.
Live long and prosper to Twitter.
And just like a group of Vulcans, one of them says "Live long and prosper" to Twitter, and there's just one Vulcan in the back. It's like, sorry.
Oh man, they do 2 tweets. That's great.
So yeah, we will see you next week for one of these episodes, and look to at Kurtrats on Twitter for that to poll, and we'll have that up shortly after we sign off here. And that's where you can also find me on Twitter is at Kurtrats, and you can find our new podcast at Positively Trek on Twitter as well, where we are going to be making some changes and expanding our coverage in the next few weeks. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, we're leaving literary treks.
Oh,
yeah, we won't be doing a lot of this anymore.
yeah. So
Just have to do it every time you mention Positively Trek.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. So, sorry for anybody that maybe didn't know that, hadn't seen the announcement on the Babel conference. We should do a quick little explanation. Yeah, Bruce and I are leaving Literary Treks. We have 3 more episodes that we'll be doing. Our last episode will drop on August 3rd, at which time we'll be moving our coverage of the books and comics over to Positively Trek, and we're going to be doing some interesting things there with the authors and the books and some really cool stuff like that. I saw that comment by Aaron. Thank you. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys follow us over there if you listen to Literary Treks and want to continue to hear us talk about the books and stuff. I think that would be great if you did that. So check it out, Positively Trek, on Twitter and wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, and I'm on Twitter at Admiral_Rex. So that's Admiral_Rex. And I'm doing a little more stuff on Star Wars Report now. I'll be not permanently, just lately. And the end of July, I'll be doing 2 episodes by myself. And I might need some
Solo.
people to help me if anybody knows anybody. So
What's
Brandi,
this thing? Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Star Wars?
Star Wars.
Star Wars.
I enjoy a good Star Wars from time to time.
Those
Me
things
too.
over
Me
there.
too. They are compelling.
Look at all that. Yay.
Actually, hidden behind Cisco is a bunch of Star Wars stuff for when I do a video about Star Wars, which is rare, but I can just move it out.
There's that glow in the dark thing from In the Darkness I got from the IMAX in the Alamo.
Yeah.
I have a bunch of Star Wars stuff hidden back there.
Yeah.
Brandi, I
Yeah.
want to know what's going on with you. We had all this big announcement we just did. I want to know what you are doing.
I can't talk about most of it yet, but I can say that that Liam and Nick and I are leaving The Edge and leaving Trek FM. And we have some things in the works, and everybody's going to find out about those in about 6 days.
Ooh, count it
Very
down.
exciting.
6 days. Wow.
Yep.
I have to mark that on the calendar.
I think we should put all our shows on the same network and call it the Untrek FM at this point.
Trek AM.
Trek XM. There we go.
Yes, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Where we get serious about
Yes.
Star Trek.
Yes.
Oh, so bad.
Yes.
Who wants to answer? Wait, I just lost it. That wasn't it. Hold on.
Yeah, Christopher Hill.
This.
Yeah.
Anybody
Well,
wanna
yeah, bad stuff is happening with Trek FM. They're losing me and Bruce and Brandi. That's bad.
No one's gonna
No,
miss me.
No, Trek FM is just going through growing pains now, but it's advancing to a different generation of stuff, I guess. People.
Yeah. And I mean, I've done literary treks for more than 5.5 years. So, it's a good time to move on, I think. There's a few reasons, but the main one for me, it's time. I've been doing it a lot, and I want to move on.
I noticed there's some hosts from Trek FM in the chat, which is interesting too, or have been hosts or whatever.
Former hosts.
Former hosts. So yeah.
Fugitives. Fugitive hosts.
No. Well, okay. So that's it. Yeah. We'll let it go there, and we'll end the show, and we'll see you guys next week. And the show is dedicated to Christopher Jones of Trek FM. So anyway, goodbye everyone. Nighty night.
Live long and prosper. Thanks for
Live long.
watching. This was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Bye, Mom.